Hi everyone out there. Well, I must say it's so good to have you here with me to keep up with this channel. Enjoy UAE. So before we step out into the country to bring you interesting sights, sounds and celebrations, I present to you in this edition the concluding part of the history of UAE. If you haven't listened to the first and the second parts of this history, find time to do so, as you probably may hear some information that is entirely new yet very useful to you. After this edition, we'll step out into the country, explore beautiful, exciting, entertaining, and relaxing places. We'll equally hold some interesting interviews, share informative stories with you, keep you abreast with trends and happenings, as well as carry you along all that you need to know in your bid to visit UAE or as a resident of the UAE. So tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell other friends all about this channel. Enjoy UAE. Subscribe and like as well. Let us begin by taking a look at gender in the UAE. In the UAE, interestingly enough, men far outnumber women. The reason is very simple. The gender imbalance is mainly due to migration, either bachelors looking to earn money in the UAE before settling down, or blue-collar workers who prefer to leave their families in their home country where the cost of living is often cheaper. For women who reside in the region, they still have access to many opportunities. The government has introduced the UAE Gender Balance Council, which is aimed at raising the imbalance in gender ranking to one of the top in the world. The UAE also places a high priority on women's education. Women have a 95% literacy rate, and they make up a good percentage of graduates from UAE universities. In the working world, women make up 2/3 of public sector jobs. The UAE is also the first country in the world, yes, the first country in the world to make it compulsory for corporations and government agencies to include women on their board of directors. How about the national animal of the UAE? So despite the preponderance of camels you may see in artwork around the country, the UAE's national animal is not the camel, but it's actually the Arabian oryx. The oryx is a medium-sized antelope with two long straight horns and a tufted tail. A picture of the oryx is printed on the old 50 dirham currency note. It has been suggested the white oryx, which in profile can look like it has only one horn, is the basis for the myth of the unicorn. Well, I guess that is very much debatable. The national bird of the UAE, on the other hand, is the peregrine falcon, or scientifically known as the Falco peregrinus. This is due to the cultural importance of falconry among Emiratis in the UAE. Now to the national dress of the UAE. The national dress of the UAE has evolved to take into account both the desert climate and the cultural norms of modesty. Emirati men generally wear a kandura, also referred to as a thobe. It is a white, long-sleeved, ankle-length garment that resembles a loose-fitting robe or a long shirt. It is topped with a cloth headdress called a guthra, held in place by a black cord called an agal. Emirati women traditionally wear an abaya, that is a thin black flowing cloak that covers the body. Underneath, they usually wear a dress or jeans in a hue they prefer. They pair the abaya with a hijab, a veil meant to cover the hair, their ears, and the neck. Well, we'll talk about this in details. About this topic in details. That is the traditional Emirati dress, and also advise tourists and visitors on how best to dress whenever they visit the country. Let's move on to the currency of the UAE. The UAE currency is called the dirhams, abbreviated to AED, which stands for Arab Emirates dirhams. Unofficially, you may see abbreviations like DH or DHS. The dirham is subdivided into fils. 100 fils are equivalent to 1 dirham. Coins in the UAE are generally in the denominations of 1 dirham, 50 fils, and 25 fils. Banknotes are available in a variety of values. 5 dirhams, 10 dirhams, 20, 50. For your information, there is a new 50 dirham note in circulation. 100, 200, with the highest being 1,000 dirhams. The dirham is pegged to the United States dollar, with $1 being equivalent to about 3.6725 dirhams. Now to the airports in the UAE. There are 10 airports in the UAE, yes, 10 airports in the UAE, and they all offer commercial services. One of them is Dubai International Airport, which is the world's busiest airport by international passenger traffic. The other airports in the UAE are Dubai World Central, that is also the Al Maktoum International Airport, Abu Dhabi International Airport, Al Bateen Executive Airport, Al Ain International Airport, Fujairah International Airport, Ras Al Khaimah International Airport, Sharjah International Airport, Dalma Airport, and Sebaniyas Airport. If you are visiting Dubai, I recommend that you come through Dubai International Airport. So there are lots and lots of interesting facts about the UAE. The country has a very rich history and exciting present and future. Furthermore, I hope this overview has given you a good insight into the country. And if you are looking to learn more, be sure to subscribe to be a part of our many insightful stories. I'll be here and I'll be glad to tell you all that you need to know. Your comments, suggestions, and ideas are most welcome. So until we link up again, the channel is Enjoy UAE. Until then, it's cheers for now.